Hey guys, I'm Kate. Welcome back to my channel, and a little while ago I stumbled across this beautiful visual of different writers, artists, general creatives, and what their routines looked like. Now, of course, I have done a myriad of I Tried Writing Like videos where I attempt to copy the routines of these famous authors. And this diagram got me thinking, how do I personally stack up? Where would I be on this chart? It has the likes of Haruki Murakami and Maya Angelou, both of whom I've tried writing like. It also has Kurt Vonnegut, John Milton, and a bunch of others. So I first found this on the Electric Lit website, and they have a sort of movable version of this diagram, which is quite cool. And they reference back all of their information to Mason Curry. So shout out to him and his Daily Rituals book. I also found another website that does for women entrepreneurs, which I thought was really interesting, on Dojo for Business. So I also thought it would be fun to see how I compared to those women. Now, it's worth noting that I have a plethora of these vlogs that I can go back through. I have to sort of pick and choose writing vlogs versus writing experiments where I'm trying to do something a little bit different, but I do have a baseline for what my usual writing routine or daily routine looks like. However, I would like to show you one day in the life tomorrow and how it compares to my sort of average day. And then we will see how I compare to these famous creatives and famous entrepreneurs. As writers, if you're publishing your work, you're in this kind of unique situation where you are both of these things, right? You're both the creative person and the business person, whether you're indie published or traditionally published. So it's just fun to play around in these sort of spaces, and I'm excited to see how I stack up. Excited, is excited the word? Nervous, perhaps? Nerve-sighted? Yes? So without further ado, let's jump into tomorrow morning. Good morning. It is morning. It is actually just before 7 a.m. and I'm about to have a Patreon stream. Hello. I wrote 869 words last night during the stream, and I got through 2 shelves. So I still have to do 1, 2, 3 left in order to fully get my TBR jar going. Now, normally I don't have a stream at 7 a.m, though I do have maybe at least once a month. So define normally. What I usually do is morning pages. So I'll probably do that during the first sprint. Thank you, Finn. I'm actually almost at the very end of this notebook. But what I want to do is draw this out real quick. Alright, so we got the sleep going, also in green. One of the problems I often have is defining exactly where the line is between creative work and my day job admin specifically for things like this, for this kind of stream, and for Patreon-like things. I would say that Patreon is usually more like day job admin-y, but it also allows me to be really creative and have fun with other elements of my job. And so it's really confusing because I use my Patreon to help me come up with like experiments to run, help me pull them to figure out really silly things. So I haven't decided what I'm going to call this time, especially because I will undoubtedly get more words in on A Closet Full of Cauldrons. So maybe after this stream, I'll have figured it out. Beep, 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 beep. All right, that was our final sprint. How did y'all do? I managed 414 words during that time. Okay, now that that's done, we're at an important point, which is it's about 9. It is like an anchor point for me because this is when I feed the dogs every day, so let's go. Go ahead, girls. Good job. Good morning. It's always our cuddle time when the girls are eating. Yeah. One of the things I actually decided to write about in my morning pages was if I thought streams were more admin day job work, and I decided that they were. I didn't want to put them under creative work because sometimes, like today, I'm also doing a sort of admin thing, admin-y question mark, for like a TBR jar system and like a long form video over time, but then I also did some writing, you know? And then after that, I decided to come back and do some full creative work after feeding the dogs and getting a cappuccino for myself for about an hour. I ended the day with 669 words and I started a whole new chapter, which is awesome. Then I exercised, went on a walk for about an hour, just kind of listened to music and also mulled over some story concepts. And then I went grocery shopping and then had to give Zelda a bath because she was, you know, just like a little dirty sausage. It's finally no longer rainy each day, so I can actually take her out and she'll be like kind of dry, but she just needed a little bath. Most of the wet marks on myself have dried. And now we're back at about 3 for some more day job admin-y things. I'm trying to get this last final push on some videos before the year is done, trying to prep myself for as well as 2023 as I can. And if I could get some more words and a closet full of cauldrons, really start this next chapter off strong, that would be incredible. So I think I'm probably going to sort of flip back and forth depending on what I need in that moment, you know? The main goal is to get shit done, but I think I might need a reprieve and need some creative work to kind of mingle in there. All right, let's do this thing. And now we have a fully filled in chart. First, let's address that day. I spent about 3 hours from 3 to 6 doing some work. 1 to 1.5 hours spent on the day job / admin stuff, and 1.5 to 2 spent on creative writing work. For a grand total of 8.5 hours of sleep, 3.5 hours at the day job admin, 3.5 hours of food / leisure, creative work 4 hours or 3.5, exercise at 2 in quotes because I include my like shower time and getting back to it time in that, and an other category of 2 hours. The biggest revelation for me, not only in that day, but also from watching a lot of my old vlogs and revisiting a myriad of journal entries, is that I actually spend like a couple of meal times doing other things. So it's food / leisure, and I would just work through lunch, or I would get breakfast and I would be working during part of that, which I thought was interesting, not necessarily a bad thing, but could I use like another break, a little eye break, and like really concentrate on enjoying my food? Probably. I also drew out my typical day, which includes one of the weekend days because I tend to work on the weekend. So I actually counted sleep for 10 hours. I think in some of the like going to sleep process, I'll get in bed early and just kind of read, but we're gonna call that sleep. Day job admin is about 2.5 hours, exercise 1.5, food / leisure 5.5, and creative work 4.5. And debatably, some of those halves could be put toward the other category. A big difference maker here for me is that I need a lot of sleep. This is especially apparent when comparing across all of the different artists and creatives, and especially apparent when comparing against some of the entrepreneurs, which I thought was really interesting. I first realized that I slept a lot when I was a freshman in college. My roommate, admittedly, was a little bit of an anomaly too, where she, I swear, only needed like 4 hours of sleep. It was the wildest thing I'd ever seen. And I like do not function if I have several days in a row of like 7 hours of sleep or less. That is just how my body works. So you know what? That's all we gotta do. You know, I appreciate Richard Strauss, kind of on my level with that one. More sleep gang. Mary Flannery O'Connor, also there, appreciate. I think the biggest point of difference that I found, the creators versus the entrepreneurs, is actually in like leisure time. I don't know that this is necessarily surprising on the whole, and this could absolutely come down to how they define things. For instance, one combining food and leisure, one sort of separating it out, but still, it is very apparent that the leisure time is much higher with artists. It was gonna bug me, so I had to pause real quick and actually do the math. I combined the food and leisure within the entrepreneur graph, and their average was 4.615 hours spent eating and leisure time per day, compared to the creatives, which averaged out to be 6.65. So 2 more hours of food and leisure for the creatives. Okay, math done. I also think entrepreneurship does have a much heavier, like, rise and grind sort of mentality. I think all of these things, not to get too deep in like a capitalism talk, but obviously all of these things are touched by capitalism and what we can, in theory, make money from under these sort of structures. So that has to be at play here. But I think it is a huge thing in the art world to consider refilling the well and taking that leisure time and really, in some ways, putting it toward like sort of stocking up on this leisure so that you may create. I know when I was working my corporate job and I had a commute, obviously that leisure time is such a small amount that you can really fit in there after you've finally gotten back home, but before you need to go to bed so that you can wake up at a reasonable time, and it's just all shortening and shortening the amount of leisure that's available to you. But with the exception of a couple years there, what I found was that my leisure time was really open on the weekends. It was almost entirely leisure. Whereas now that I work for myself, I don't think there's less leisure. I just think that there's not as much open swaths of it because there is this idea that not only do I need to keep working, but also I so enjoy the work that it can be tough to be like, no, this is still working. I need to actually just chill. One important point for all of this is oftentimes when these famous creators are being asked questions about their routine, it's often when they've already sort of quote unquote made it. In fact, when I've done research for I Tried Writing Like videos, it's been hard to find what a like routine before then was like. Lots of people do have day job or admin work that they do a lot more of before they're asked this kind of question. N.K. Jemison's the only one that I really truly remember answering this, and also Rick Riordan was a teacher and usually did his writing, you know, after school, getting a little bit in between classes, and that's really the extent that I've been able to find, really pre-fame, I guess you would say. So while I've always found these routines really interesting, I don't know how much they're helpful. They're fun. That's what they are. They're fun. They're fun to learn about, they're fun to imagine, and even still, they're really fun to see the comparison points between all of them. Just sort of what they would naturally prefer to do. The sleep schedules were all over the place. Some people did their creative work in whole chunks, and some people did it in little patches. Some people enjoyed exercising and swore by exercising as part of their creative process, and some people did not like to exercise at all. So I don't know if there's some grand conclusion to this, other than it was kind of fun to play around with and just see where I fell. Maybe it's just nice to manifest and pretend that you too will be on a list like this someday. But please do comment down below. Let me know if you have a routine or you don't have a routine. Let me know if you're trying to form a new routine. Let me know if any of these graphs surprised you in any way. And also let me know what's your favorite leisure activity. But that is going to be it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you especially to some of my new patrons this month. Camille H, Brianna Somerville, Robin Connolly, Mo, Melanie, Michelle MP, Clara Rose Elliott, Sarah Patterson, Rachel Salgado, and Sonia. And I will see you all very soon with a new video. Bye!